welcome to the Redirect Podcast. My name is Abigail Hewitts.
And I'm Emily Rojas. The Redirect Podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We discuss themes from some of our favorite fictional books and how those themes show up in real lived experiences.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing our book and reading goals for 2023, and we'll share our tips and tricks to help you read more in 2023.
So welcome to 2023!
Heyo. And when you're listening to this, it will really only be shortly after we've recorded it, because we're kind of behind.
Yes.
So, Happy New Year, Emily. How was your
New Year
holiday?
How was my holiday? It was great. I did nothing. I was off.
Read?
I read a good bit. I wouldn't say a lot. Less than I did last year, but still a good bit. I think I read like maybe 3 books over the break. But I watched a lot of TV, movies. I was finishing The White Lotus, so that took up a lot of time.
I wish The White Lotus was a book so that we could discuss it on
that
this
is
podcast.
so true.
It would be a great book.
It would be an insane book.
We can cut this out if we need to, but I was just thinking, I saw this TikTok the other day for any White Lotus listeners, or White Lotus fans that are listeners, and it was Albie, and he's walking up, it's him walking up to his dad to ask for 50,000 euros, and it's the Shark Tank music. It's like, dun, 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 dun.
Sharks.
His dad was just like, yeah.
Yeah, his dad was a lot more amenable than any of the sharks, so.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so
how
you watched White Lotus?
Yeah. And did not much. I got a lot of sleep. Just really, it was super cold here, -2 degrees, which I have not really ever experienced maybe in many years. I think that's I don't know if ever it's been that cold. So I was quite inside. I'll say. And it was kind of scary, but that's all over.
Power?
No. Well, I think so. When we went to Eric's parents' house for Christmas, and so we got there Christmas Eve, and Christmas Eve night I got a little alert on my phone because you can control the thermostat from your phone, and it was like, your house is dangerously cold, please turn your heat on, this is not safe.
Oh, for your house in Chattanooga.
Yes. So I think the power must have gone out that night because luckily we were not there. So thank God. I'm like, what if we had been there? It was down to in the 40s. I would have died. God. Probably not. That's very dramatic, but I would have been cold. So how was your break?
My break was good. I got engaged. Finally. Just kidding. No, it was really good. So, as you know, Zach had been telling me over and over and over again, don't get your hopes up. It's going to be in January. I'm proposing in January. Just let me do my plan. And so he really caught me off guard. I really didn't think he was going to propose on Christmas, but he did, the basic bee that he is. And, it was great, and I was super surprised. It was in the middle of me cooking breakfast in my PJs, so it was awesome. And then, so we just spent Christmas by ourselves, and then for New Year's, we went up and actually met my parents in Utah near Zion National Park, where we spent a day hiking around and enjoying. My parents gave us a really nice camera for Christmas, so we took pictures with the camera. Yeah, and we did wedding planning and stuff, and it's actually I'm just now starting back to work. I had 2 full weeks off of work.
Yeah, same.
And so it's really hard.
It's painful
to go back after that.
Yeah, I have to say, my brain is just not the amount of work I'm able to accomplish in a day is nowhere near what it was pre-Christmas.
You got to ramp up.
Yeah, it takes some time to ease back in.
I mean, I truly did get rest, which was good, but the change of pace is hard.
Yeah, it's maybe too much rest.
When you first get back into it.
Yeah. Well, great. So it sounds like we both had equally great breaks. Just kidding.
Yeah. Right.
But we hope all of you guys had a great Christmas and holiday and New Year's season. And now we're going to be talking about the new year and what we all do, even if we say we don't, is our New Year's resolutions. So what's your relationship to New Year's resolutions? What's your vibe on them in general?
I generally have a bad feeling about them, but I don't think that's to do with the actual New Year's resolutions, I think that that has to do with my relationship to diet culture because for many years of my life, my New Year's resolutions revolved around losing weight. So in general, it feels I don't like it, but I mean, like you said, all of us, whether we want to or not, like we feel like new people at the beginning of the year for no reason. It's just like a day changes, you feel like it's a clean slate, and there's a new year, and um, so more like for my my New Year's resolutions, like the last few years, I've thought more about like what I want my life to look like this year and like things that I want to do, less than like ways I want to change myself or change things. So like for instance, a couple years ago, my New Year's resolution was to make the perfect roasted chicken. And I literally did it on New Year's Eve that year. So I did it on the very last
You
possible
made
day,
it though.
but it was perfect
Mm.
and it was delicious. So yeah, like I have goals, but they aren't super rigid, and they're usually not really that much about changing myself. More like doing more of what I'm already doing, I guess. What about
Yeah.
you? How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel similarly. I just feel like I never have actually ever accomplished any of my New Year's resolutions except 2 years ago I did make the reading goal of reading more, and I did stick to that one. So, but I think the key is like it's a good time to just like reflect on your life in general and set like realistic goals that are kind of already in line with what you do already. Like for
Yes.
me, setting the goal of reading more was like I already do read. I know I like it. I want to do it, and like you said, it's like a thing to do. It's not anything about me as a person. And so
Hmm.
I think it was a good goal because, and it like was able to be accomplished because it was already in that vein of like my life. And I don't think it's a time to make huge life changes and then just feel bad about yourself, which I think is
Hmm.
what we tend to do a lot. And me especially, I feel like the new year or just like any time in my life, I get like I need to make a drastic change, and it's like, no, you don't. Like you are good. Like you are is
Yes.
fine. Just find something you want to do or something you like to do and or something you're already doing but you want to do more. And I think it's a good time to like set goals, but not necessarily be like I need to um like don't do something like I said one time my New Year's resolution was to run a marathon. Look, like I can't
I'm never
run.
gonna.
I can't run. There are other exercises I can do, but I
Yeah.
can't run. Like my ankles are horrible, like just know who you are. Like I need to know who I am. Like no matter how much I run, I'm never going to run a marathon and that's
Know
okay.
thyself.
Know thyself and set goals that are for
Yeah.
you, not for like some other version of yourself that isn't real.
Yes. And you know what? Just going off that, I learned one of the things I learned in 2022 was that hobbies are really the stuff that like give life texture
Yeah.
and make it more like than an existence. Like really, I mean, besides like going to work, like the things that you do, whether it's like cooking or taking walks, reading, like whatever it is that you do, um, you those things are
Sorry.
what make life. Okay, just if you're listening to this, I just lowered the shade on my window and I became a dark shroud on the video.
I don't know why that was so funny. Okay.
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 Anyways, hobbies are what give life texture. And so, it's cool to make your little New Year's resolutions feel quote unquote meaningless. Like, just do things that make you happy and do more of them. And reading makes us happy. So that's why we're talking about our reading goals.
Yeah, and I do think it's a great, like, starting at the beginning of the year with reading, I just feel like that is a good goal. And I feel like a lot of people have that goal. So I think that's why we wanted to kind of talk about maybe our approach to reading related goals, some tips, some ideas. So, what is your general approach, like focusing on reading? Like, what is your approach to setting your book related goals?
Well, I think I probably depart from you in that I
Mm-hmm.
don't really like number related
Mm-hmm.
goals because for me, it takes a little bit of the joy out if I feel like I'm having to hustle to keep up with my goal and then it's like, oh, this isn't like pleasurable anymore. Because also, like, there are some months of the year where I'm like, I'll read like 12 books or something like that. But then there's some months of the year where I'm just like, I might read one book, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like really all that I have time for. Or that's the only, I can only give space to it, one book. So I try and just be intuitive about the books I read. Although I will track, I've already started tracking. I've read one book so far this year. It's the fifth. So, I will keep track of what I've read because I want to look back and remember and maybe notice the patterns that I'm keeping. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so much a counter. So my goals that we'll discuss here in a little bit are less
Non-numerical.
number related.
Yeah.
Yeah, non-numerical.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, I feel like I do like number goals. So I'm here I feel like I love that we are different on this because I feel like if we were both one way, you know,
This would be boring.
yeah. Or it's like I feel like there are different types of people out there. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like the numbers just because I feel like I think in my life I'm just a deadline motivated person. So it helps me stay like motivated to read to know that I have to keep up with a goal. But I don't think number goals should be like for me. I don't think they should be, no, for anyone. They shouldn't be like insane or unreachable. And I just don't think, it doesn't help me to compare to other people. Because I see people on TikTok, I know you guys see them too, if you're on any side of Book Talk, who are like, I
It's
read
like,
390,000 books last
and it's
year.
like they hold up. Here's what I read in January
Yes, and
1st
it's
to 3rd,
40
and it's like,
books.
and it's just like, look, that's when it gets into the territory of like how many books you read in a year, just like how much you weigh, or if you stuck to reading, or if you ran a 5K or you didn't, or whatever. It doesn't correlate to your value as a human being.
Yes,
So
amen.
if counting books feels like it's going to get you into the territory where you are wondering if you are as good of a human being
Hmm.
if you had finished reading the books, then don't.
Amen. Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think, I mean, good for those people, like that's realistic for them. But what's realistic for you might be different. And I always say this, but I feel like, you know, like if reading one book this year is a huge accomplishment for you, that is just as good and amazing as reading 100 books in a year. Like whatever
Yes.
is, if you want to set a number goal, like it doesn't have to be crazy. I think it should just be like for me this year, I set the goal at like 6 books more than I read last year because I want to read a little more. I want to increase it, but I don't want to do something that's not realistic and I'm going to fail and I'm going to fall behind and be like beating myself up. And if I start to fall behind, I'll probably just change the goal. So I think
Yeah,
just
you can
like
always change
be
your goal.
realistic. And also, it's okay to do things besides reading, like watching The White Lotus or binging, Pretty Little Liars. I recommend doing that. Like, just
Sometimes, yeah,
there's
sometimes
other
reading
things to do.
doesn't feel good. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like I just want to lay here and I literally can't summon the energy to turn a page.
Yes.
Like
Amen.
that's real.
So yeah, I do
So,
like the number goal and I really like Storygraph for my number goal because they'll give you like really nice little things like, hey, you need to read an extra book to be on track or like, good job, you're like 2 books ahead. So I like their little reminders because it doesn't like sometimes those things stress me out, but the way theirs are worded, it's probably psychological, but I really like how it makes you feel like, okay, I can do that, but you're not like stressed or shamed.
mm.
So, next question. What were your goals for this year, for the past year that just ended, and did you feel like you accomplished them?
I mean, I didn't have super explicit ones, like nothing that I wrote down in pen at the beginning of the year, but just generally I wanted to read more, which I did accomplish. And I think most importantly, I did things to support that goal, including joining a book club. I did doing book swaps with you and with a couple other friends, which helped introduce me to books that I wouldn't have picked otherwise. I think that's honestly what really helped propel me in my reading this year was making it a more social activity,
Yeah.
making what's normally a very solitary activity a social activity to help you. Like sometimes it's just like you might go to the library, you might walk around Barnes and Noble, or you look on your Kindle and you're just like, I really just don't know what to pick, and I feel overwhelmed by the choices, or I've made some bad picks, or I picked something that I didn't like, and now I don't, now I'm out of it. And I think making it a more social activity really helped. So I did read more in 2022. So I did accomplish it, but wasn't like a super explicit goal. But what about you?
Yeah, and I think just kind of going off of what you said, like also doing this podcast, like I read a lot more and because it's like well you need content to talk about and also like I post on my Instagram like reviews I've read and it's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, I need content. which is good for
Yeah.
me. Maybe that's not for you, but for me, again, like I like the deadlines. I kind of like the pressure. I kind of like I need something to post. So, and I think that's a great, like you said, if you don't have a book club though, like you can follow people on Instagram or TikTok who are posting book reviews and people that you feel like you agree with their opinions, you trust their opinions, and that helps with the social activity. If you don't have anyone like in person you can talk to about reading, or you don't have a book club or anything like that, like I think there are virtual ways also to engage with people about books.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a Storygraph person. I don't know what the social aspect of Storygraph is. I'm a Goodreads person, and Goodreads, you can see what people are
Yeah.
reading, and like you can be friends with your actual friends on Goodreads and like see how they rated books. And like honestly, I have gotten ideas even without explicitly talking to them. Like some people I know from college, I follow on Goodreads,
Yes.
and I'd be like, oh, well, they like that other book I read. Maybe I see what they're reading now. Maybe I should read it.
So, 2 years ago, I started my reading journey and I read 50-ish books. And then, so last year in 2022, I made my goal 60 because I'm like, I still want to go up a little. But I ended up reading 84, so I went a lot over that. And
Congrats.
thank you, thank you. It just feels good I am not like someone who has a history of seeing things through. And so I feel like I talk about my reading goals a lot, but it really means a lot to me that I like set a goal and saw it
Yeah.
through twice, and now I'm really hoping to do it a third year. But I'm like, maybe I'll just stop here. Like, I don't think I need to go up every year because it's starting to
Well, you
become
can have
like,
qualitative goals, but
yeah,
first of all, I'm proud of you.
thank you,
Way to see it through, my boy.
Doc. Thanks, Doc.
Um, but I mean, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, I think when we had Stephanie on, she talked
Hmm.
about reaching 100. I don't know if
Yes.
she reached 100 this year.
No.
That's like about 2 books a week, so that's, a pretty fast
Yeah.
clip. But also, again, let's say you read one book last year, you could
Yeah.
just read two.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that is so true. And I think the thing about it is too, like it sounds like a lot, but it's also like sometimes when I like go on vacation, like when I was at the beach, I could read like 5 books because you have nothing else to do and it was really cold this year. You know what I mean? Like there's some weeks like
Yeah.
that where you can knock out a ton, or you're listening to an audiobook, whatever, like Abigail's saying, like whatever your goals were this year or whatever you accomplished this past year, like take it up a little bit, even if that's going from 1 to 2, or, wanting to make one friend who loves books as much as you do, or like go to the library more. Like it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a
Totally.
strict goal. Um, so with that in mind, do you have any goals for 2023?
I do. So keeping in mind that I'm not sending my number goals, I do have a couple goals. So one is pick a series and read all of the available books. This falls in line with the seeing it through. So
Mm,
last year I read like 4 of the Outlander books, and I fell off, and I have not finished the series. Partly that was due because wow, what are my words? That was due in part to the fact that they're each like 900 pages. And I
yikes.
felt like all I was doing was reading Outlander, and I needed a break, and then I just felt like it was a huge commitment to pick it back up. Which I may not, I may, that's fine. But it just seeing it through, finishing a series, reading all the available books, um, that would be a goal. Also adding in more fantasy. I That was like my lowest genre
Yeah,
this
same.
year.
Hmm.
I feel like fantasy can be hard to get into, but I've been
Hmm.
very inspired because I keep seeing people on TikTok that are like, when I finally found the fantasy, or like me 300 pages into a fantasy book, and I finally like get what's everything that's going on, and I'm so into it. So I'm gonna try more fantasy, and see if I can get into that a little bit more. I think there's a great potential, if I found the right match, for me to love it, because it is combining like multiple things I love. Like usually it's like a totally different time period, or it feels like a long time
Yeah.
ago, which I love. And then also like it's just so divorced from reality. I love that in a book. Like,
Feels like there's
you
usually a
know,
romantic element in fantasy novels as well. So that's,
yes.
another genre to like.
So I think there's high potential for me to like it if I found the right match. So if you have any recommendations for me, you can leave them in the comment on this post. I would be really uh, inclined to learn about that. And then my third goal is just trying to read for a few minutes before bed. I typically do read before bed, but I'm trying to do that more often rather than reading TikTok. I mean, looking on TikTok because it helps me sleep better, and it's just a way to keep me like on track with following through on the books that are on my
Yeah.
list.
I
So,
feel like
what about
those
you?
are great goals, and I love all of them. Okay, so me for this year, like I said, I'm shooting for 90 this year. Um, like we were talking about with Stephanie, I feel like I'm on her same mental wavelength of like, I would love to read I would just love to get there. I feel like that's probably the max I could ever do with keeping, I don't want to give up TV. I don't want to give up TikTok. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's the
You have to make it
max.
a part-time job.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
after that, yeah, it becomes like very intense. But so I don't know. Like I think I'm setting it at 90 with like the hopes that maybe I could tip that over, but I don't want to go crazy with my goal. So that's my number goal. But also I'm like I really wanted to last year and like the year before I read a few books from like other cultures or like based in other like cultural um like either from other countries or just other like cultural histories or whatever. And I felt like I need to do more of that because I feel like you just kind of get into like you're reading the same types of books by the same types of authors. So, Storygraph actually does a read around the world challenge. They did one last year, I think. I didn't participate, but this year they've picked some new countries. I think it might be 12 total countries, and they have like suggestions for books. So, I ordered 3 books. So I just did it on Thrift Books, which if you don't know, thriftbooks.com. It's like secondhand books. They're very cheap, some very cheap books on there. So it was like $10 for 3 books. But I just couldn't
The,
get
dis
them.
the, dis the disclaimer about thrift books is if you need to get the book fast, don't
No,
get it from
yeah,
thrift
don't do
books.
thrift
But
books.
if you just are shopping, it's a
Yes.
good sustainable
And
way
if
to
it's
get a
a
book.
not like a brand new book, but like an older book, it can be great. But yes, I ordered 3 books, and they're from Colombia, Argentina, and Syria. The one from
Oh,
Syria
wow.
sounds super interesting. It is actually a fantasy book, I think, so I might have to
Oh, good
recommend it to
luck.
you if I end up liking it. But I just think like it's a great way to like stretch your mind and broaden your perspective and just hear new
Help
stories.
you
Like,
learn.
yeah, I read a series this year, 2 books, that I talked about on this podcast about. It was like based in like this sort of ancient African religion, and learning about that stuff and then doing research afterwards. It was just like stuff you would never learn about. Like I never learned, obviously, in school or anything, but it was like a very important part of history and stuff. And so that kind of inspired me to want to like do this read around the world challenge. So I'll definitely be sharing more as I get these books. I think 2 of them are fiction, one's nonfiction so far. So I started with those 3 countries, but there are several more from all around the world and stuff, I never would have read on my own for sure, or even heard of probably. But um,
Yeah, you'll have to keep me updated and
yeah,
the listeners updated and
definitely.
send me some of them when you're done.
Yes, I will. And also like too in college, in high school, sorry, not college, we did like a whole unit my senior year of works in translation. Like all the books we read in my English class were just books in translation. And I still think about those books, like they were really impactful. And I feel like reading a book that is from another language, another culture can be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to that goal. I feel like I was inspired by your non-number goals to think of one, and I was like, I think this would be a really good one to do. It's still like a challenge, so it's so fun, but for me,
Yeah.
but also it's like not just numerical. It's like,
You know what? When you say that, it makes me think of like in like Pride and Prejudice or whatever, they like reread the same books over and over again because like
hmm
you just don't have access to books.
yeah,
Like, and then like you go over to someone's house, you're like, you have a giant library. Can I
yeah,
look through it? It's like that's like your exposure to books. Like,
yeah,
it's just crazy. Like they and like for fun, like they like read books out loud to each other.
yes,
It's like it's so. I think we really take for granted how much access we have to books from all over the world, from all different genres, all different types of authors, and like for the majority of like human history that books have been around, like people have not had that. So, um, that's super cool.
Okay, so if you're like us and you set a lot of book goals this year, what are some tips? Do you want to give a little tips that you would give to anyone who's like, maybe they've never read before, or maybe they're a casual reader, they want to step it up, or they read a lot and they just want, some advice. Anyone, what are your tips for those people who their New Year's resolution is maybe involved with reading?
Okay. Well, my first tip is if you are a new reader and you're just trying, like, let's just say it's like you 2 years ago, your goal is just to read more, pick something popular to start with because it's probably popular for a reason. Some books are popular and they aren't good, but a lot of times things are popular because they have mass appeal, and that might just be the spark that you need to get you on your way. Um, you may not know what genre you really like. You may think you know or have an idea. You may be looking in the wrong section of the bookstore or the library for a book that you like. So try and diversify your picks. Um, and I think a lot of people set out at the new year to read more books, and what they mean by that is I want to read more like contemplative nonfiction and things about
Yes.
theory and spirituality and stuff. And there is a place for all of that stuff. But I learned something really, like my little baby brain, my freshman year of college learned something that really honestly blew my mind. And that is the idea of common grace, and that if something is true, it's always been true. And that truth can be found in all places, because if you are a spiritual person, this may apply to you, but God is in all places, and like holy things can be found in all places. Everything can be divine. And so you might learn something true that has been true from the foundation of the universe in like a stupid little romance book. So don't be pretentious. Don't be a beehole, and just like try genres that you may not think very highly of. Like, you may want to just try like something that's really like comedic. Just read like something that is like strictly comedy. Try fantasy, try historical fiction, try sci-fi, and figure out what you like, and then that will help you find your groove on your reading journey and help propel you forward.
Amen.
On the subject of like being pretentious, my other tip is audiobooks count. I really believe audiobooks count and ebooks count. I think there's some super pretentious people that are like, I have to hold the physical book in my hand for it. Like, just if you're just trying to read more, make it easy on yourself. Um, Enjoy audiobooks, enjoy ebooks.
Yeah, I think whatever you can do counts. Like, I read books on my phone when I'm at work, at lunch or something, because that's easy. Or you can listen to audiobooks on your commute. Like, if that's what works for you, that's equivalent to reading. Like, you don't have to be pretentious to be reading. That's all that
I know.
counts.
It's not there's like an exclusive club, and if there are people who are making an exclusive club, then they are annoying,
They're
and
not
who
welcome
cares?
here in this
Yeah, they're
virtual
not
podcast
welcome in
world.
this group. Exactly. And then my final tip is what I want to say is reading is not a solo activity. It seems, I mean, it can be. Like, if Zach was listening to this, he would probably be like, for me, it is
What do you
solo
mean?
activity. I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah.
But he like specifically brought his new like Lord of the Rings hardcover on our like New Year's trip. So he would have an excuse, like a way to burrow away and be alone.
Like, oh,
Like
sorry, gotta
you
go read this. Talk to you
Because
guys later.
it's socially acceptable to be in a room with a bunch of people reading a book in a way that it's not socially acceptable to be looking at your phone in a room
That
full
is
of
so
people.
true.
But anyways, it's not a solo activity. So join a book club. Get on Goodreads or Storygraph or whatever equivalent you like the best. Ask some friends if they want to do a quarterly or monthly book swap. And also, I will preach this forever. Literally talk to a librarian. Like, go to your library and talk to the librarian at the information
Hmm.
desk and tell them the things about what you're looking to, like your goals. Talk to them about what you like, or like bring them one book that you like, and they may really be able to help you find something great
Yeah.
that can be the book that launches you. Also, like at the library, I just feel like, I mean, I use Libby a lot, which I think you're going to talk about in your tips, but like physically going to a library is great because they have lots of like themes and like, exhibits, and they help you learn about books you would never learned about. So I recommend going to a library.
I love all of
Emily.
your tips. And also, like, I feel like we don't talk about this enough, but librarians, like, have to have a master's degree.
It's like
Like,
not easy.
it's a highly, like, specialized job that they're not, like, I feel like you just get the vibe that they're, like, retired people or something. No, they're, like, doing a very specialized job, so they can definitely help.
Yes, they have a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
and expertise about this kind of stuff. So go talk to a librarian. That's what their literal job is.
Yeah. Okay, so my tips kind of similar to what you said, but like don't finish a book if you're not enjoying it. That will set you free.
Preach.
That will set you free in your life. Like I spent so much time, like you mentioned, thinking I had to read like pretentious nonfiction and self-help books, and that is not enjoyable. And like if that's all you're reading, those have a place, like you said, but
Sometimes
you got to break it
sprinkle
up.
in.
Yes. So that is number one. But I also felt like I had to finish every book because, like, you started it, you have to finish it. But this year was the
You
first year I
don't.
ever DNF'd a book, and which means did not finish. And it was a Colleen Hoover book.
Which one?
It's called Maybe Someday. I tried reading it, I didn't like it, so it went back to Libby. Then I re-upped my hold because I had seen people liked it. And then in the meantime, I read Verity, which I did not like at all. And then it came back and I tried reading again. I'm like, wait, this is by that same lady. Maybe I just don't like her writing. And then I didn't finish it. And it was very freeing. And it's okay if you like that book. I just want to say, I just don't think her writing's for me. Like, I can't get into it
Yeah,
as
maybe it's
much.
just not for you. I also DNF'd a book this year. I should have DNF'd more than one.
Yeah.
I just forced myself to push through. But the one that I quit, I'm looking at on my shelf right now, is A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings. It's like it's a romance book about dental students.
Oh,
It's like the cover is like written in toothpaste. I got it at a book swap at like this like meetup, and someone brought it, and I was like, oh, I'll try it out. And it's something that's that easy to read. It should not like it should be
yeah.
that's a book like that should be easy to read. And if
Yes.
you are pushing through it, do not
Yeah,
finish.
and it doesn't matter what it is. Like if it's a book everyone loves, if it's like a book that's very literary or like pretentious, or if it's a book you thought you would love, like it doesn't matter. You don't have to
Even if it's a
finish.
classic,
If
you
it is
don't have to love it
especially,
just because it's a
yeah,
classic.
especially then. Those are mostly bad. So just don't finish it. Just don't. So I think that will free you. And also like there's a book this year in the Lady Sherlock series which I love. I love that series. It took me 300 days to finish because I just wasn't vibing with it and I put it aside, and then I came back and then I put it aside again. So it's okay to like pause
Which
on a
one?
book. The most recent
Didn't
one.
ask. Okay.
It's good. I like it. It just wasn't I wasn't in the mood for it at the time I
You
picked it
weren't
up.
there, and it's gonna slow you down. If you
Yeah.
slog through it,
Yes.
it's gonna slow you down.
Don't push yourself to finish something. Like that reading is supposed to be fun. And if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying it, okay, sometimes you're not enjoying it because it's like a sad book or something or someone dies. Like, but if you're not like overall enjoying the experience, then just take a break or don't finish it. It's fine. Um, my next tip is go to Libby for those free audiobooks and ebooks. We talk about Libby all the time, but all you need is a library card. I actually use my mom's. I don't even have my own. That's bad. I know you should have your own library card, and I want to get one, but then the libraries are closed with COVID, and I tried applying online, and they kept denying me. Anyways, it's now. It's 2023, so maybe that's one of my goals this year is to get a library card where I actually live.
Go to the
But
library.
I do have one through my mom, and you can get free books. Like they're free. They're just it's like the library, but you can still get ebooks and audiobooks. And I also for a while had Kindle Unlimited, and I also recommend that. I don't feel like they have a ton on there, so I had it for probably 6 months, and I feel like that was good to get what I wanted out of it. But they did have a good bit of options. They have a lot of like really cheesy like romance books on there, so if you're in the mood for that. That would be a good one. But, that's an option. It's like $9.99 a month. And so it's kind of a similar thing. You can get unlimited books that are in their little program. So, but Libby is great because you don't have to, I am so passionate about this. You do not have to buy every book you read. I think in this world of like Bookstagram and Book Talk, everyone is showing you physical copies of books all the time. And you're like, you buy every single book you read. You don't have to do that. Like, don't do it.
Especially if you read 100 books a year.
I don't understand how these people
Um,
do it, but
yeah.
I see too many purchased books. I think if you really love a book, that's fine. Like, I love to buy books, don't get me wrong. My mom is probably like, why is Emily talking like this? She buys too many books, in her opinion. But, then
Here's the thing. I would say, okay, if it's a book by an author you know you're gonna love and you've been anticipating, go buy the
yes,
book.
yes,
If it's, if it's something where it's like, okay, I know that this is good, or it's a fave of mine I want to reread, go buy the book.
yes,
If not, try the ebook first, try
yeah,
Libby first, and then if you're like, even if you get, halfway into, you could always go get it and then finish the
yeah,
actual book if you really want to.
yeah.
But
And
make
I
this a
think
sustainable habit.
from authors, like, if you're worried about supporting them, like, requesting their books at the library also does support them. Of course, I think if you really love an author, you want to pre-order that book. You want to buy it. Like, you want to support them in that way. But also requesting a book from the library does help them. Like, it does add to their overall sales and numbers. And so, I don't feel like you need to be stressed about it. Don't be unsustainable. No need to buy every book you read. Get free books. Like, don't spend all your money to read. Like, especially if you're just getting into it, maybe you decide you hate reading and then you spend $100 on books. So don't do that. And then, yeah, like Abigail said, read books you enjoy, even if you're not pretentious. If you really like trashy romance, read it. If you really love fantasy, if you want to read a Twilight series, go listen to our deep dive
You
episode.
know what? I think an entry point for a lot of people is graphic novels too. Like
Yeah.
there's a comic store by my house that
Hmm.
has like romance comics and like
Really?
there's
That's
like
kind of
all sorts
amazing.
of things like that. And maybe I
Didn't
should
know
add
that
that to my goal
existed.
to eat
Yeah.
a graphic novel. But like, hey, if that's an easy way for you to get into it, do that.
Yeah, I think just find what's accessible to you. And yeah, I think what was holding me back for like all in college, all even a couple years after college, I was not reading at all, despite reading so much growing up. But you know what the difference was? The stuff I read growing up was stuff I liked. I saw books on the shelf that sounded good to me or were by authors I knew I liked, and I just got them. And then when you're in college and stuff, and even in high school a little and after college, you're like, I have to read like this book that's gonna grow me as a person. Like, no, you don't. You don't have to read it.
Like,
Like,
read it if you want, but that's not all you have to read. It's
yes,
just like, oh
yes,
my gosh, you don't have to be that person.
you don't. So I think that will set you free as well. Like, just read books you enjoy. And I think it's great. We talked about on our romance tropes episode how romance is having a moment right now. But I feel like when we were growing up, like, it was kind of awkward and no one really read romance like explicitly. But now it's like they're everywhere. Everything is romance now. Like the most popular bestsellers are all like romance books. And so I think yeah, that's great because it's even more freedom of like whatever you like. If you like thrillers, if you like mysteries, if you like romance, if you like nonfiction, like whatever it is that you like, I think you should read that. And then my last tip is always just like just do it. Like I think the more you try to incorporate reading into your life, the easier it gets. And like I said, like I read on my lunch break most days. I'll read like an ebook or I'll bring a book with me or I'll listen to an audiobook on my commute or if you have the Kindle app on your phone, you can just like quickly read a chapter like if you're waiting in line or I don't know, something like that. If you're just hanging out at home, like just pick it up and read. And I just think the more you think about it and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then eventually you're like, oh, I'm reading, you know? Like it doesn't have to be so daunting. Like just so if you didn't read it all last year, maybe just start with like one book and then go from there, you know? Like just start with one and however long it takes and however, much time you put into it, that's fine. Just do it. It's fine. If you want to. Again, no one's forcing anyone to read, but if you're listening this far, maybe I think you want to. So I think the
Yeah.
more you just try to like replace little, like Abigail said, read a little before bed or, you know, instead of scrolling on
Another idea is
TikTok.
like if you, carry around a purse or a backpack or something, always have a book in it. And then if you're ever like on a train or you're
Yeah.
sitting in the grocery, like at my grocery store, I do mobile pickup and they always take like 20 minutes to bring it out. So great. Like just always have make it easier for you to tap
Yeah,
into.
I think that's a great way to put that of like, yeah, if you have a little if you have a Kindle you can bring with you or a little book or you can have it on your phone, then it's so accessible and if you do have a few minutes, like it doesn't have to be something where you're like, I'm gonna go sit down and read for hours. It can just be a few minutes here and there to pick up a book. So, that's my last tip.
Love it. Hopefully this inspired you.
Yeah, I hope it did. And if you have tips or if you have any goals for this year, definitely go comment on our Instagram post about this episode and let us know because we would love to hear what your thoughts are about
And
your
we would love to
2023
support you in your
goals.
goals and
Yeah,
help you find things that you want to read,
yeah, that's what we're doing here.
which is a great segue into books we've read recently.
Yeah, so
Maybe you'll want to
true.
read one of these books.
I hope so.
So Emily, you want to go first? What's the
Yeah.
book you've read recently?
So we actually did talk about this a little in our 2022 wrap-up episode. Stephanie recommended it as one of her favorite books of the year. So coincidentally, that same day I had gotten it in on Libby and I read it super fast. So it's If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And it is wow. It's first of all, if you're not in the mood for a sad book, do not read this. It is a big old
Okay.
bummer. Big old bummer. So, it basically takes place at a very prestigious, like, arts college, and specifically in the theater department. And you start off the novel knowing that years ago, one of the students in this senior year, like, they kind of went, it's one of those colleges where every year they cut people from the program. And so by senior year, there's 7 of them left in the theater program, and one of them was murdered, and one of them is in jail for the murder of that person.
Murder?
Murder.
Intrigue?
There's been a murder. So, it kind of opens up with the main character, Oliver Mark. He's being released from prison, and the police officer who kind of investigated the murder comes to him and is like, I'm retiring. This story has never sat right with me. Can you please tell me the truth about what happened that night? Because I will take it to my grave. This is my last day. I need to know. And so then he tells him the story, and you find out, kind of what the truth was of that night. And it is dark. The seniors, they study, well, all 4 years, they study exclusively Shakespeare, theater plays, and, their senior year, they do tragedies. And so it's kind of set up like the book is a tragedy. It's not going to have a happy ending. But I think one of the quotes from the book is like, that I posted, it was like that's the thing about the tragedies, like they give you like just enough hope that things are going to work out okay, even though you know the whole time that it's not going to. And it's like, someone's going to die. You get based on how it's framed, you get the feeling that this guy isn't even the one who probably did it or didn't happen the way they said, if this officer's saying it didn't sit right with them, but you still kind of have that hope, like maybe it will be okay for these guys. I don't know. It was really sad. It was, I think anything like this, like, it's kind of like a cult book of like, or just not really like a cult, but it's kind of like what happens when you isolate a group of people and they spend all their time together and they develop these different kinds of norms and then something tragic happens and like they're like this twisted kind of family because they literally have spent all their time together and there's relationships between them and yeah, it's definitely a bummer. So just know that it's kind of scary at times. Like there's some creepy parts. But it's mostly just really sad, but it was really good. I couldn't put it down. It's one of those where I like when they tell you up front that the official story is not the real story, because then it's like you can't stop reading until you know what the true story is. So
Right.
I really liked this one. It was really good.
Wow, you may have put me on.
But it is a bummer. I would maybe save it for like October. Like it would be a really good Halloween read.
Okay. Good idea.
So what's your
Tag
book?
this for our 2023
Yes,
spooky
season
episode.
draft. Yeah, I'll be recommending this.
Okay, my book is something I read over the holiday. It is Hester by Laurie, Lico, Albanese. So first of all, does the word Hester ring any bells for you?
I want to say the Salem witch trials, but I could just be making that up.
So So Hester is the name of the main character in the Scarlet Letter.
Okay, yeah, no, wrong
So
classic book. I'm thinking of The Crucible, The Scarlet Letter, blah blah blah. Okay, you got it.
yeah. So okay, I have never read the Scarlet Letter. I just kind of know about it in the cultural sense that everyone kind of knows a little bit about it. But I was sitting in the living room, like I had this is a book I'd had on hold for so long, and I finally got it, and I was like, okay, I just want to read it. And I mentioned the name of it, and Zach was like, oh, like the Scarlet Letter, because he's one of those people that's read like every classic book.
Typical.
And I was like, oh, okay, maybe, I don't know, but the main character in the story is not named Hester, so I don't know. That's a long way to get to the beginning of the story of the book. So the book is about a girl named Isabel, who is a red-haired Scottish lass who has oh God, what's that thing called where you can see colors or you see
synesthesia.
yeah, you see colors as sounds as colors. So she has that, but of course back then in like the 1800s they thought that was witchcraft.
So it is like the witchcraft. I was onto something.
Yeah. No, because then she moves to Salem. So it's like this huge secret. She's like, oh, I can't tell anybody that I see colors and stuff. And she ends up getting married to this guy, and they end up crossing the Atlantic to move to Salem, Massachusetts. She's a gifted seamstress. And she kind of dreams of becoming a dressmaker. Her husband ends up joining the crew of a ship as the doctor, and she is left alone in Salem shortly after moving there, and she meets a young man named Nat, and short for Nathaniel, and they strike up a romance, and the story kind of goes on from there. So basically, if you've caught on to maybe some clues from this, Nat is Nathaniel Hawthorne, the author of the Scarlet Letter. Oh. And this is the reimagined history of how he may have written the book, The Scarlet Letter. So, I know. So they get you in the end. This is not like a huge spoiler. It was I was shocked at the end, but I was like, oh, I should have known this from the beginning.
Should have picked that up.
Because it's pretty obvious when you know the story of the Scarlet Letter. But this is one of those books I ended up reading the acknowledgments and like the information at the end. And the author, Laurie Albanese, talks about how she read the Scarlet Letter in high school. And, it was the first piece of like explicitly feminist literature she'd ever read. And how she ended up doing research on Nathaniel Hawthorne and found out that he'd only published like 500 books in his life, and all of those were semi-autobiographical. So he wrote a book about his family's involvement in the Salem witch trials. He wrote, there's a couple other things. So she's like, and he was famous for burning his journals and like being a very secretive person. So this is her take on the story of the Scarlet Letter. And maybe how he would have come up with the character Hester in that book. And so I won't give away anything else, but I really enjoyed it. If you like reading books about like early colonial America and like I do. And, witches, there's a feminist component here. There's love, there's heartbreak. There's even like a subplot about like runaway slaves. Anyways, it's really good. I would recommend.
Okay, no, that sounds really good. And I also have never read The Scarlet Letter. I mostly know Easy A, but I'm really intrigued. I'm intrigued.
I mean, I don't think you have to read The Scarlet Letter to get.
No, you know the vibes. Yeah.
Just kind of like Google the overall plot of The Scarlet Letter.
Yeah.
And there you go.